Hi there, it's Laura here from makingcardsisfun.com. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you're new to my channel, make sure to subscribe and click the notification bell. In today's video, I'll be showing you how to create a sliding window card using Sunny Studios themes. My sliding window card went a little bit wrong, so I'll be sharing some tips and tricks with you on how to improve your sliding window card skills. Let's get started. For my sliding window card, I decided to work with the Beach Babies and the Fabulous Flamingos theme sets from Sunny Studio. I'm using Memento Tuxedo black ink to stamp all of these images on Nina White 110-pound heavy cardstock. I'm coloring my images using Copic sketch markers. For the pineapple, I'm using Y38, Y35, and Y32. Next, I'm using YG09, YG06, and YG03, and I'm using the same shades of green to color these leaves. I didn't end up using them on my card, but I decided to show you anyway in case you want to use these and you were wondering how to color them. For my flowers, I'm using R43, R20, and R11. I'm also going to use some shades of orange for my next flower, using YR09, YR04, and YR02. Then for the center of that flower, I went in with a Y13 marker. Next, I'm using Y19, Y18, and Y13 to color my third little flower. And over there you saw my friend grabbing my Copic sketch marker because I made this card with my friend who's also a card maker, and we made this card together. We had a lot of fun together. I think it's really fun to make a card with a crafty friend. So next I colored my beach ball, and then I am going in with some pink markers to color my flamingo. I started out by adding a coat of my lightest color to make sure that these colors would blend nicely and easily. I'm using RV14 to add shading, then RV13 to blend that out, and then finally I'm going back in with the lightest color to add some highlight and to blend it all out. And here's mistake number 1. I'm starting out with a piece of white cardstock that I cut to 3 1/4 of an inch by 5 inch. I should have cut this piece of white cardstock to 3 by 4 inch. So don't forget. So start out with a panel that measures 3 by 4 inches. Okay, so I used some of this Heffy Doodle low tack Memo tape to do some masking. And then I used antique linen distress oxide ink to add color to the sand. And then I'm using Tumbled glass distress oxide ink to add color to the sky. I'm using some inexpensive makeup brushes to blend this background. Feel free to use just regular little blending tools from Tim Holtz and Ranger. Then I'm going in with some of these sandy beach accents die cuts from Fawn to create a little slit in the sand so I can put some of my colored images in there. Next, I'm adhering all of my images to this panel with some foam adhesive. I am going to double up the layer of foam adhesive for my flamingo so that it would pop out a little bit more than the palm tree. So again, make sure to do all of this on a piece of cardstock that measures 3 by 4 inch. Don't forget. Next, I'm using a little bit of the Tonic Nouveau Smooth Precision adhesive glue to adhere my little beach ball, the pineapple, and the little flower. I absolutely love this adhesive. It dries clear, it dries fast, and the most important thing of all, it's a really strong adhesive. Next, I'm using some pattern paper from Sunny Studio, and I'm using the large rectangle die, and I'm going to position that in the center of this paper. I cut this to 5 1/4 of an inch no, sorry, 5.5 by 4.25 of an inch. I am also using the little notch, and I am die cutting that on the opposite sides of those two little bars, and then I ran that through my die cutting machine. Next, I am folding along the score lines using my bone folder. This folds quite easy since this is some regular pattern paper. So I flipped over this paper, then I applied some double-sided adhesive on the flap, and then you want to line up this white rectangle against the edge. Make sure to do this correctly because otherwise your sliding window card won't work. And believe me, I did this about 3 times because I was constantly making mistakes. But it is important to just line it up against that edge. And this cardstock measures 3.25 of an inch by 5 inch. There we go. I applied my double-sided adhesive to the edges and the bottom on the back of this paper. I left some room for my sliding window card to slide, and then I am adhering this piece to a standard size note card that measures 5.5 by 4.25 of an inch. And there you go. Then you have your sliding window cards. All we need to do is clean up these edges a little bit. I'm using my tonic guillotine to trim that down so it's perfect and very smooth and crisp. And then I pulled out my little slider to pierce a little hole in there. You can also use one of the dies that come with the sliding window die cut set from Sunny Studio. And then I'm going to use some baker's twine to create a little something so you can pull out your slider card. You could use some ribbon. I decided to use some baker's twine. Next, I'm using some kitchen flour to prep my cardstock so I could do some heat embossing. I like to do this to remove any static cling. You can also use baby powder or a little powder tool or powder bag, either from Martha Stewart's or another brand. I stamped my sentiments on my cardstock using my very yucky, dirty Versamark ink pad. I sprinkled on some opaque bright white embossing powder from Wow, and then finally I am heat sanding that. Next, I'm going to apply some adhesive on the bottom part of my slider window. Make sure to not apply any adhesive on that really tiny little strip there on the bottom. You just want to adhere it on the little rectangle. Don't apply your adhesive on the top rectangle. You want to apply your adhesive on the bottom rectangle so your slider actually pops up. So there you go. So that finishes up that sliding window piece. I hope I explained it well, and I definitely recommend checking out more videos here on YouTube to see how to make a sliding window card without all these little errors. I'm finishing off my card with a Spectrum Mars shimmer pen, and I'm also using some crystal glaze to add a little bit of dimension and shine. I'm also going to adhere a few clear sequins here and there. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I made a lot of mistakes, but I still decided to upload this video to show you that it's not always what it looks like on camera, because we card makers and video makers, we edit out so much stuff and it makes it look like we know what we're doing and everything goes really perfect and very smoothly. But in reality, things happen, we make mistakes, and it's okay. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye bye.